Charlie Crist, who is the former governor of Florida, formerly a Republican, now an independent. Governor Crist has not declared support for any of the candidates for president this year, but he joins us now. Governor Crist, thank you so much for being with us. It's nice to have you here with us tonight.
It's great to be with you, Rachel. Thank you for having me.
Listening to Mr. Romney tonight, knowing that he has won the Florida primary, are you still staying out of the race in terms of who you are endorsing? And what do you think happens next in the Republican nominating contest?
That is correct. I'm going to continue to watch and observe and be hopefully a very good citizen, private citizen, and make a decision about November much later. But I think what's important from today, obviously, you got to give great credit to Governor Romney and his campaign. I mean, this is a decisive victory tonight. What's going to happen in the Republican primary going forward, I don't think anybody really knows for sure. We heard from Speaker Gingrich earlier in the week that regardless of what happens today, he would go all the way to the convention that comes back here to Tampa, Florida. And we'll see if that's the case. I think I heard a scenario where if he could get through February and go into Super Tuesday with some other southern states weighing in, that might give him another shot. And, you know, this has been an unpredictable year, particularly in the primary, where 10 days ago, Newt Gingrich wins South Carolina. Tonight, a decisive victory for Governor Romney here in the Sunshine State. And it seems to swing back and forth. And I shouldn't forget Rick Santorum's victory in Iowa. So who knows what the future holds? Only time will tell.
In terms of how the campaign unfolded in Florida, I have to ask you, Newt Gingrich essentially played the Charlie Crist card on the campaign trail in Florida. He attacked Mitt Romney by comparing him to you, attacking him for hiring, for example, your former campaign manager and other staff members, implicitly criticizing Mitt Romney as an independent-minded Republican or even, God forbid, a moderate Republican. What's your reaction to that?
Well, no real reaction to the comparison. You know, any campaign, as you know, wants to try to get the most talented people they can to help them make sure they deliver a coherent, heartfelt message that resonates with the voters of their state, or in this case, in a presidential race, with the country. But it is interesting to see where you had Speaker Gingrich talk about the fact that he was a true conservative in the race, and you observed, I'm sure, the last few days where the speaker would be on the stump and he would talk about prior positions of Governor Romney being more in the moderate tone, and yet you have this big victory for Governor Romney tonight in Florida. So you don't know if that's a message about the Tea Party and maybe not as strong an influence as we saw here 2 years ago. Again, it remains to be seen. The primary is not over, but this is a decisive night for the governor.
Governor Crist, Steve Schmidt here. Good to see you, sir.
How are you, Steve? Good to see you.
4 years ago, your endorsement of John McCain, in my view, put him over the top and secured
for him. I will say what you said earlier. Senator McCain put himself over the top, but at any rate,
I think your endorsement had a lot to do with it. And I'm wondering if you would talk with the benefit of 4 years of hindsight, you know, from that moment to today, how has the Republican Party changed? How do you view the party as having changed over the last 4 years?
Well, I think there's been some pretty dramatic change. I think we've all witnessed that. You know, during the past 4 years, you saw the Tea Party's rise. That really was just in its beginning stages back in 2008. And I think a lot of things really started to change, Steve, with the economy. And I think that brought about a more angry tone, if you will. And I got to tell you, this past week or 10 days in Florida, it's been a very angry tone and regrettably amazingly negative. And my hope is, you know, as a Floridian, as an American, that we can get away from that negative tone, whether it's, you know, Republicans, Democrats, or independents, that we all are Americans. And if we can have a more positive view going forward, we might have an opportunity to get things on the right track and have a better future for all of our people. I think that's what they yearn for and what they want. But I think the Republican Party has gone through a lot of twists and turns over the past 4 years, and I certainly would invite your analysis. You've been very close to it as well.
Governor, Ed Schultz here. Thanks for your time tonight. Mr. Romney started this victory speech tonight in Florida talking about how this primary does not divide the party, it prepares the party. Do you think that there's no downside to these negative ads that have gone on in Florida, that everybody's going to be able to just slap each other on the back and move forward?
Well, I'm sure that's the message that Governor Romney wanted to convey this evening. I'm not so sure that that's the reality of what's happened here in Florida. I mean, everybody has an attachment to Florida in one way or another, a relative, a friend, what have you. And so many people have moved here from other parts of all over the country that they get reports about what's happened here. The $16 million spent on ads, 92% of those were negative ads. That has to have a negative impact. I don't think anybody watching this can think that that's a healthy thing for the Republican Party. It's a difficult thing, and it's going to take a toll. And, there's polling that already has indicated that the positives and the negatives have changed as it related both to Speaker Gingrich and to the governor.
Charlie Crist, former governor of Florida. It's a real privilege to have you with us here tonight, sir. Thank you for your time.
The privilege is mine, Rachel. Thank you.
Thank you. I should note that in terms of who we have talked to tonight, every single person we have talked to has expressed disgust with the way the campaign has been run in Florida for the past week, except for the two Romney surrogates, Tom Rooney and Carlos Gutierrez. They got no problem with how the campaign
Always good to be in the winner's circle.
Exactly.
Steve, to your point about what's changed in the Republican Party since 2008 when he was the Republican kingmaker in Florida, he is no longer a Republican.
Yeah.
He left the Republican Party and became an independent 2 years ago. He could possibly, he told Todd this morning, he could possibly vote for Barack Obama when November comes.
And he said tonight that he would see what happens in November.
Yeah.
He did not say that he would be supporting whoever the nominee was. He left the door open that he could possibly support President Obama.
Tells you how far people have come.